Mama June gets candid about addiction. Says I was so addicted that I forgot I even had daughters. Welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Mama June has had a tough time dealing with her crack addiction. We know how she lost her fortune and herself to drug addiction. Although now June is getting her life back on track, it took her quite some time to realize what was pushing her into the black hole. In the Tell All interview recently, the reality star shared her harrowing tale of consuming drugs and how it took her away from everything dear to her. Mama June Shannon reveals her first introduction with addiction. In an exclusive interview with Sober Nation FM, June got candid about her drug addiction. She revealed her introduction to the drugs and the way it spiraled out of control, resulting in a complete loss of sobriety. June began by describing the common situation of several addicts. She said that initially she was able to function and do production. However, things went downhill after she and Gino were exposed in 2019. June explained that her producers knew about her addiction all along the way. However, they pushed it under the rug and never discussed it. It was only when the whole story caught media attention that they realized how grave the matter was. Nonetheless, June adds that by the end of that season, she was already in and out of it. June grew up surrounded by drugs, had first child at 14. June looked back on her days growing up and revealed being surrounded by drugs. She added that her sister and brother-in-law used to sell drugs. She went on to explain how she was never a party person. In fact, the reality star had her first child when she was just 14. Around that time, June was doing 3 odd jobs and had no time to think about the wild lifestyle. However, in 2000, she met meth and instantly fell in love with it. As she was drawing home more money, she saw meth as a means to cope with the busy life. The infamous reality star spoke about meth keeping her awake for longer time. She instantly added that days of staying up 17 days, 14 days is super bad for anyone. But then, by 2004, she got away from the addiction and life was back to being easy. However, coming back to her hometown in 2014 brought her back on the muddy path. Then she met Gino in the later 2015 for whom she had to give up on meth. By 2016, she was consuming cocaine. June Shannon spent a fortune on her crack cocaine addiction. June admitted that her children always knew about her addiction. She always kept them in the loop. However, Pumpkin was the first to spot Gino's needles, after which the couple decided to hide their items. But in 2019, they were arrested and exposed, thus bringing their addiction into the limelight. June also revealed about spending around $3,000, $4,000 a day on her crack cocaine addiction. She let go of her possessions to get her dope, and that's how she ended up spending a fortune on a thing as bad as addiction. Mama June, born June Shannon, was known to millions as the outspoken and larger-than-life matriarch from the reality TV show Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. Her life had always been an open book, broadcast for all to see. But there were chapters she kept hidden, chapters that she would later reveal with brutal honesty. Addiction had a way of creeping into Mama June's life when she least expected it. It started innocuously enough. Pills prescribed for pain after a minor surgery. The relief they provided was intoxicating, offering a respite from the pressures of fame and the challenges of raising her daughters. But the comfort they offered was fleeting, and soon the pills weren't enough. What followed was a descent into the dark world of substance abuse, one that would consume her life and relationships. The breaking point came when Mama June found herself in a motel room, surrounded by empty pill bottles and the remnants of a life that had spiraled out of control. She looked in the mirror and hardly recognized the person staring back at her. She had lost weight, but not in a healthy way. Her eyes were sunken, and her skin had lost its glow. More importantly, she had lost touch with her daughters, the very reason she had fought so hard in the public eye. "I forgot I even had daughters," she later confessed in an emotional interview. The addiction had taken over her life so completely that everything else faded into the background. She was no longer Mama June, the mother and reality TV star. She was just June, a woman lost in the throes of addiction. June's rock bottom was both devastating and public. Her arrest, alongside her boyfriend Gino Doak, for possession of a controlled substance was a wake-up call that echoed through her family and fans alike. The mugshots were plastered across the media, a stark reminder of how far she had fallen. The legal troubles forced June to confront her addiction head-on. Facing potential jail time and the loss of her family, she realized she needed to make a change. She needed to reclaim her life and her identity, not just for herself, but for her daughters who still looked to her for guidance and love. Deciding to seek help was one of the hardest decisions June had to make. She entered rehab, a place she had once viewed as a last resort for people who had completely lost control. But now she was one of those people, and she was determined to fight her way back. Rehab was a grueling process. Detoxing from years of substance abuse was physically and emotionally excruciating. There were days when June felt like giving up, when the cravings were so intense that they threatened to break her resolve. But she found strength in the support of her counselors and fellow patients, who shared similar struggles and triumphs. During therapy sessions, June confronted the underlying issues that had fueled her addiction. She spoke about the pressures of fame, the scrutiny of the public eye, and the deep-seated insecurities that had haunted her for years. She realized that her addiction had been a way to numb the pain and escape from reality, but it had ultimately led her down a path of self-destruction. One of the most painful aspects of June's addiction was the strain it had placed on her relationships with her daughters. Pumpkin, Lauren, Honey Boo Boo, Alana, and Jessica had been left to fend for themselves, feeling abandoned and betrayed by the mother who was supposed to protect and care for them. Rebuilding these relationships was not going to be easy. Trust had been broken, and wounds ran deep. But June was determined to make amends. She started by writing letters to her daughters from rehab, apologizing for her actions and expressing her deep love and regret. Pumpkin, who had taken on the role of caretaker for her younger sister Alana, was initially skeptical. She had seen her mother make promises before, only to break them. But the sincerity in June's letters struck a chord. Slowly, she allowed herself to believe that maybe this time would be different. When June completed her rehab program, she returned home with a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that words alone would not be enough to heal the wounds she had caused. She needed to show through her actions that she was committed to being the mother her daughters deserved. The road to recovery was long and fraught with challenges, but June faced each obstacle with determination. She attended regular therapy sessions, both individually and with her daughters, to work through their issues and rebuild their bond. It was a slow process, but gradually the trust began to return. June also embraced a healthier lifestyle, focusing on her physical and mental well-being. She started exercising regularly, eating nutritious meals, and practicing mindfulness techniques to stay grounded and focused. She knew that maintaining her sobriety was a lifelong commitment, and she was determined to stay on the right path. Her daughters, too, began to heal. Pumpkin and Alana started to see glimpses of the mother they had once known and loved. They shared moments of laughter and joy, slowly replacing the painful memories of the past with new positive experiences. As June's recovery progressed, she felt a growing desire to share her story with the world. She wanted to be honest about her struggles and triumphs, not just for her own sake, but to help others who might be facing similar battles. She knew that addiction was often shrouded in shame and secrecy, and she wanted to break the stigma and encourage others to seek help. June decided to write a memoir, detailing her journey from addiction to recovery. It was a deeply personal and cathartic process, forcing her to confront the darkest moments of her life and reflect on how far she had come. She poured her heart into the book, hoping that her story would inspire and resonate with others. The memoir, titled From Not to Hot, My Journey Through Addiction and Recovery, was met with an outpouring of support and admiration. Fans and readers were moved by June's honesty and bravery, and many shared their own stories of struggle and resilience. The book became a bestseller, further solidifying June's determination to use her platform for good. With the success of her memoir, June became a prominent advocate for addiction awareness and recovery. She partnered with various organizations to raise awareness about the dangers of substance abuse and the importance of seeking help. She spoke at events, participated in campaigns, and used her social media presence to spread messages of hope and encouragement. June also worked to address the systemic issues that often contribute to addiction, such as lack of access to healthcare and mental health services.